Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine you're cruising down the highway, hands off the wheel, letting your car handle everything.
Right. The future, sort of.
Exactly. But then, boom, it flashes a warning, tells you, take over now. How much do you trust that?
Yeah, that's the core question, isn't it?
Because how the system talks to you, and, critically, how reliable it actually is, that can change everything. Not just how you feel, but what you physically do.
Your reaction time, your decisions in that split second, it's crucial.
So today, we're diving deep into this really fascinating study. It's from Virginia Tech and the University of Virginia.
Why, yes, I know the one.
It's called Reliable and Transparent In-Vehicle Agents Lead to Higher Behavioral Trust in Conditionally Automated Driving Systems.
Good.
Bit of a mouthful.
Hey, yeah, academic titles for you.
Yeah.
But the core idea is powerful.
Our mission, then, is to pull out the key nuggets here. Understand this delicate dance between us drivers and these smart systems, especially when safety's on the line.
And what's really interesting, I think, is how the research moves past trust as just a feeling. It looks at trust as, well, something you can measure through behavior.
Behavior, right, not just ticking a box on a survey.
Exactly. It helps us get why we might rely on automation, maybe even when it's not perfect, and how just presenting the information changes everything.
And we're focusing on these conditionally automated cars, the ones that aren't fully self-driving yet.
Precisely. The level 2 or 3 systems where the car does a lot, but you, the driver, have to be ready to jump back in. Think tricky weather, system limits, stuff like that.
Okay, so if we're building these things, how do we get that trust level right? Not too much, not too little.
That's the million-dollar question.
Because folks in psychology engineering, they've been wrestling with this for years, right? Especially with self-driving getting closer.
Absolutely. And this study really zooms in on 2 big pieces of that puzzle: reliability and transparency.
Let's break those down. Reliability first. What did they mean by that in the study?
So reliability here is pretty straightforward. It's about the accuracy of the info the car's agent gives you.
Like, does it tell the truth?
Basically, yeah. They compared a really reliable agent, 100% accurate info, with one that was less reliable, only 67% accurate.
Okay, so a trustworthy co-pilot versus one who's occasionally wrong.
Exactly. How often does your virtual co-pilot get it right?
Got it. And the second part, transparency. That sounds a bit more complex.
It is. It's not just if it communicates, but how. How does it explain itself? Its decisions, its predictions.
And the study looked at different ways of doing that.
It did. 2 distinct types of transparent agents.
Okay.
So one was the what plus why agent. They call it proactive. It just, boom, gave you everything at once. Here's what's happening, and here's why I'm doing this.
All the cards on the table immediately.
Right. Then there was the other one, the what then wait agent, or on demand.
On demand, so it holds back.
Kind of. It first gives you just the what, the basic situation. And then only if you asked, like, saying more information, would it give you the why.
Interesting. So one spills the beans, the other makes you ask for the details.
You got it.
And the core question the research aimed for was, how do these 2 things, reliability and the style of transparency, shape our actual actions, our behavioral trust, and just, our overall experience?
That's the crux of it. How does it change what we do behind the wheel?
So how do you even test that? It sounds tricky. You can't just put people in cars with experimental tech on real roads, can you?
Not easily, no. So they used a driving simulator, a pretty sophisticated setup.
Ah, makes sense. Virtual reality for driving research.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They recruited 30 people, all licensed drivers, obviously, and they put them through different driving scenarios in this simulator.
And how did they mix the reliability and transparency?
Okay, so each participant was put into either the high reliability group or the low reliability group.
Right. Trustworthy car or less trustworthy car.
Yeah, but within their group, each person experienced both kinds of transparency. They'd get the proactive agent first, then the on-demand one.
Oh, clever. So everyone got to compare the 2 communication styles.
Exactly. And to make it feel more, well, real, the messages weren't just text. They were spoken by actual humanoid robots. They used Milo and NAO robots.
Wow. Okay. So embodied agents delivering the news. What kind of driving did they simulate? Just highway cruising?
No, it was varied. Highways, city streets, traffic lights, other cars, trying to mimic real-world complexity.
And the key part of it, automation failing.
Right. At certain points, the system would hit its limits, maybe simulated bad weather, or something unexpected pops up.
And then it issues the takeover request, the TOR.
Precisely. It tells the driver, okay, your turn now.
And what happened if the driver didn't take over or didn't do it fast enough?
Well, the system would technically avoid a crash in the simulation, But, and this is important, it wasn't smooth. They simulated a shattered windshield, a loud crash sound.
Oof. To really simulate the negative consequence.
Exactly, to make the need to comply feel real.
So what were they actually measuring then? Just whether people hit the disengage autopilot button?
That was part of the takeover compliance. But also how fast they did it. That's takeover time. Crucial milliseconds.
Okay, speed of reaction. What else?
They also looked at vehicle control after the takeover. Did they swerve? Did they brake smoothly?
Yeah.
And then, critically, they got subjective feedback.
The questionnaires. How did you feel?
Right. Perceived trust, mental workload, how hard did you have to think? Their general impression of the agents, and importantly, which agent style they actually preferred.
Okay, quite comprehensive. So they ran the test, crunched the numbers. What did they find? What were the big takeaways about how people actually behaved?
All right, let's dig into the results. First up,
Mhm.
takeover request compliance. How often did people actually take over when asked?
Yeah.
Here's a really interesting bit. When the agent was proactive, giving the what plus why right away, it didn't really matter if the system was reliable or not.
Wait, really? So even if the agent was often wrong, people still complied just as much if it gave a reason?
Seems so. The compliance rate was high, and pretty much the same for both the 100% reliable and the 67% reliable proactive agents.
Wow. That suggests... Well, it suggests that just explaining yourself, even badly, builds a potentially dangerous level of trust, doesn't it? Over-reliance.
That's exactly the concern it raises. You get this explanation, you think, okay, the system knows what it's doing, and you comply, maybe even when you shouldn't, leads to potential misuse.
Okay, that's fascinating and a bit worrying. What about the other agent, the what then wait one, the on-demand?
Now, here's where reliability made a difference. With that on-demand agent, people in the low reliability group complied less often than those with the reliable system.
Uh-huh. So if the system was dodgy and didn't immediately explain itself, people were more hesitant.
Precisely. Without that instant why, drivers seemed less likely to just blindly follow their request from an unreliable source. They found it harder to figure out what was going on and why the takeover was needed.
So maybe limiting the information in those uncertain, low reliability situations could actually be safer, prevent that inappropriate overtrust.
That's what the findings strongly suggest. Yeah, it's a really crucial distinction in design philosophy.
Okay, compliance is one thing. What about speed? How quickly did people react? Did reliability or transparency affect takeover time?
It did. Reliability was the big factor here. There was a significant main effect on takeover time, meaning people took longer to take over when the agent was unreliable. About 2.45 seconds on average,
Compared to
only 1.54 seconds when the agent was reliable.
almost a full second difference. That's huge in driving terms. Why the delay with unreliable info?
Well, the thinking is, if the system gives you info you suspect might be wrong, you need extra time. Time to double check, maybe look around more, reevaluate the situation, search for confirming cues before you actually, grab the wheel.
Right, that internal, wait, is this right process takes time. Okay, and you mentioned something unexpected about what happened after they took over, something about speed.
Yes, this was a really surprising interaction effect. It involved both reliability and transparency.
Okay, lay it on us.
Under the low reliability conditions,
Mm.
participants actually drove faster after taking over if they had the proactive what plus why agent.
Faster. When the system was unreliable but explained itself, that seems backwards.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The hypothesis is that drivers built up this sort of false confidence from the explainable system, even though it was unreliable.
So the explanation, even if flawed, made them feel like they understood, and then they drove more. Maybe aggressively. Riskily.
Potentially, yes. Like, okay, I get the situation, now I need to act fast to deal with this hazard, leading to higher speeds.
Whereas if the unreliable system didn't explain itself fully, the on-demand one,
Then the driver might be less confident, more cautious, maybe slower, and more careful after taking over.
wow. So the way you explain things, especially when you might be wrong, can have these really complex downstream effects on behavior.
Absolutely. It's not simple at all.
Okay, that covers the behavioral side, compliance, timing, speed. What about the human experience? How did people feel about these agents? What did the subjective feedback show?
Good question. So the what then wait agent, the on-demand one, it scored higher on something called habitability.
Habitability. What's that mean?
That basically means users felt they had a clearer understanding of how to interact with it.
Yeah.
It felt more intuitive, maybe less overwhelming.
Okay, easier to figure out how to use.
Yeah, and it was also perceived as having a faster system response speed, likely because the initial message was shorter.
So that conciseness was seen as a plus.
Yeah,
Smaller chunks of info.
exactly. And getting more details only if you asked was seen by some as an advantage.
But there's always a but, isn't there? Was there a downside to that concise, on-demand approach?
There was perceived effort.
People felt they had to work harder.
That's right. Participants reported increased perceived effort with the on-demand agent. Because it gave less info up front, it created more uncertainty.
So they had to mentally scramble more, look around, try to figure things out under time pressure.
Exactly. It demanded extra mental work to find the necessary info from the environment or decide if they needed to ask for more from the agent. So, while concise, too little info initially seemed to boost the cognitive load.
Interesting trade-off. Clarity versus effort. Now, you hinted at this before, but what about subjective trust? Did people say they trusted one agent more than the other?
This is really key. Despite the clear differences in behavior like compliance and takeover time, the study didn't find a significant difference in participants' reported subjective trust.
So what they did changed based on reliability and transparency, but what they said they trusted didn't really change.
Pretty much, yeah. It highlights that gap between stated belief and actual action. What people say about trust and what they do when interacting with automation can be two different things.
That really underlines how complex measuring trust is, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. You can't just rely on asking people. You have to observe their behavior.
Okay, so behavior changed, effort changed, but stated trust didn't. What about simple preference? When asked point blank, which agent do people prefer?
The proactive one won the popular vote, but not by a huge margin. 60% preferred the what plus why proactive agent.
And why did they like it?
The reasons were pretty consistent. They valued the extra information, the explanation, feeling like it saved them time, and it just gave them more confidence. Some felt it made the system seem more knowledgeable.
Makes sense. Knowledge is power, or at least feels like it. Any downsides mentioned for the proactive one?
Yeah. A minority found all that extra info distracting or just unnecessary noise. Information overload was a concern for some.
Okay. And the other 40%, why did they prefer the what then wait on-demand agent?
They liked its simplicity, its conciseness, less distracting.
Less mental clutter.
Right. And the ability to request more information gave them a sense of control. It met their needs as needed rather than bombarding them.
But they must have had concerns too.
Definitely. The main ones were the uncertainty it created initially that could cause anxiety. And also the worry that having to take that extra step to ask for info during a critical takeover moment might itself be dangerous because it takes time.
Yeah, fumbling to ask for more info when you need to be grabbing the wheel, not ideal.
Not ideal at all.
So wrapping this all up, what's the big picture takeaway? It really feels like a paradox, doesn't it? Give too much info, especially unreliable info, and you risk overtrust. Give too little, and you get anxiety and high effort.
It absolutely is a balancing act, and
Yeah.
that's where the design guidelines come in. This study offers some really crucial pointers for engineers and designers building these systems.
Like what?
Well, first, the obvious but critical one. The information from these agents needs an appropriate reliability level. It has to be good enough to build trust, but maybe not so perfect. It masks underlying system uncertainty, encouraging safer behavior.
So honesty about limitations, maybe.
Something like that. Second, and this is key based on the findings, information transparency needs careful tuning based on that reliability level.
Tailor the communication style to how trustworthy the info actually is.
Exactly. Just always explaining everything. The proactive approach might not be the best if the info itself is shaky. It could lead to that false confidence and risky driving we saw.
So maybe use the on-demand approach when reliability is lower.
That could be one strategy, yes, to avoid creating that misplaced trust. And the third point is about making the systems habitable.
Habitable. We heard that before, meaning intuitive.
Intuitive, understandable,
Yeah.
helping drivers build the right mental model of how the system works and how to interact with it. That improves performance, reduces confusion, and makes the whole experience better.
So it's all driving towards what you called calibrated trust.
Precisely. That's the goal. Trust that matches the system's actual abilities. Not too much, not too little, just right.
This deep dive has really highlighted just how complex this relationship is. System performance, communication style, human reaction. It's a fascinating dance.
It really is. And incredibly important research as vehicles get smarter and smarter.
Yeah. And you know, these lessons aren't just about cars, are they?
Not at all. The insights here apply pretty much anywhere humans team up with automation, where trust and performance matter. Medicine, aviation, finance, you name it.
It's about designing tech that's not just intelligent, but intelligent about how it interacts with us, its partners.
Well said. It's about the interaction, not just the function.
So maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. As automation gets woven more deeply into our lives, how do we get better at knowing when to question these systems, even the ones that seem really transparent and explanatory?
That's a great question.
And what duty does that put on the designers? Not just to inform us, but to actively help us calibrate our trust properly in the machines we're increasingly relying on.
A huge responsibility, and one we're still figuring out.